They called it the golden decade of the love song, when a voice alone could stop a wedding, end a marriage, or make a grown man cry into his car stereo. And tonight, we're counting down 10 records that didn't just top the charts, they carried real heartbreak, real accidents, and real secrets inside every note. This is R&B Pulse Track, the home of the stories behind the song your parents fell in love to, the ones nobody ever told you the full truth about until now.
Over my years, I guess I shed some tears.
From a singer who never walked again to two voices that fell in love on a chart before they ever met in person, here are the 10 ballads that defined the 1980s. Number 10, Atlantic Starr, Always, released in 1987.
Girl, you are to me.
David Lewis and his brothers wrote this song in 1982, 5 full years before anybody heard it, and then they just shelved it. It sat in a drawer while the group chased funkier, faster records because nobody in the room thought a slow, simple love song fit who Atlantic Starr was supposed to be.
Come with me, my sweet.
When they signed with Warner Brothers in 1987, they wanted to lead their new album with an up-tempo track. A label executive talked them out of it. He pulled Always back out of storage and insisted it was the hit. He was right.
I know you'll stay this way for all.
Always shot to #1 on the Hot 100, the R&B chart, and the adult contemporary chart all at once. And it's stayed a wedding day staple for almost 40 years since. The lead vocal is a duet between David Lewis and Barbara Weathers. And here's the part that makes it ache a little. While they were recording it, Weathers and David's brother Wayne Lewis actually fell in love for real and got engaged. But the song that promised forever couldn't hold the band together. Royalty disputes and group tension pulled everything apart. And Weathers left Atlantic Starr just a year after Always hit #1. The song became bigger than the band that made it, playing at other people's weddings for decades, while the people who wrote it grew apart. Founding member Wayne Lewis passed away in 2025, but Always is still the first dance at strangers' weddings every single week. It's proof that sometimes the truest love songs are written by people who are watching their own love slip away in real time. Number 9, Freddie Jackson, You Are My Lady, released in 1985.
There's something that I want to say.
Before this song, Freddie Jackson was nobody's headliner. He was a background singer, the voice you never see, standing behind Melba Moore and other artists, singing harmonies nobody would ever credit him for. He'd spent years in that shadow, gospel-trained, patient, waiting.
You stay, 'cause our love was.
Then producer Barry Eastman, who had never produced a hit before in his life, wrote You Are My Lady as a private tribute to his own wife, never expecting it to become anyone's signature song, but his own quiet gift at home.
Nothing that I'd rather do.
Capitol Records put it on Jackson's debut album almost as an afterthought behind the title track. Then it happened anyway. You Are My Lady shot straight to #1 on the R&B chart and became Jackson's biggest crossover hit ever, hitting #12 on the Hot 100. Overnight, the man who used to stand in the back of the stage became the voice Quiet Storm radio was built around.
You are my lady, yeah.
And that first-time producer credit? Barry Eastman went on to work with Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, and George Benson, all because a song written for his own marriage accidentally launched 2 careers at once. It's a reminder that some of the biggest love songs in R&B history started as private, unglamorous gestures nobody expected the world to hear. Number 8, James Ingram, 100 Ways, from 1981, peaking in 1982.
Compliment what she does.
James Ingram wasn't even supposed to be a singer. Broke, unknown, working session gigs in Los Angeles, he recorded a demo tape of a song called Just Once for $50 just to pay rent. He wasn't the artist attached to it, he was just the voice singing the reference track so a publisher could shop it to somebody famous. Quincy Jones heard that $50 demo tape and refused to replace the voice on it. He put Ingram, a total unknown who'd never released a record in his life, onto his own album, The Dude. One of the songs Ingram sang on that album was 100 Ways, a tender plea about small, everyday acts of devotion.
To ask her to stay, find one.
It won James Ingram a Grammy Award for Best R&B Vocal Performance before he had ever put out a solo album under his own name. Think about that. A man who'd been anonymous a year earlier was suddenly a Grammy winner, and it happened because a demo tape he cut for grocery money landed in the right producer's hands.
And hold her closer all night.
He went on to co-write PYT for Michael Jackson's Thriller, but it all traces back to a $50 session. James Ingram passed away in 2019, but 100 Ways remains one of the great Cinderella stories in R&B history. Proof that sometimes the demo is the destiny. Number 7, Peabo Bryson and Roberta Flack. Tonight I Celebrate My Love, released in 1983.
No one's gonna find us.
This wasn't their first time in a studio together. Bryson and Flack had already recorded a full album back in 1980, but this song, 3 years later, was different. Michael Masser and Jerry Goffin, the same songwriting team behind Whitney Houston's biggest ballads, built Tonight I Celebrate My Love specifically to let two seasoned voices sound like they were falling in love in real time, not performing it.
When I made love to
It worked. The song reached number 5 on the R&B chart and climbed all the way to number 2 in the UK, staying there for 14 weeks. It became one of the defining slow dance records of the entire decade. The kind of song that quietly ended up on more mixtapes and more wedding playlists than almost anything else on this list. Here's the part that hits differently now. Roberta Flack passed away in 2025, and almost immediately afterward, this song surged back onto the charts, landing in the top 10 of Billboard's R&B digital song sales chart decades after it was recorded. A whole new generation went looking for the song and found two legends celebrating a love that, 40 years later, is still being celebrated by strangers who never even lived through the 80s. Number 6, Patti LaBelle and Michael McDonald, On My Own, released in 1986.
Said our love would always be true.
Two of the biggest voices in American music recorded the biggest duet of both their careers without ever meeting each other. Patti LaBelle laid down her vocal in a studio in Philadelphia. Michael McDonald, thousands of miles away, recorded his part alone in Los Angeles. Producers Burt Bacharach and Carol Bayer-Sager stitched the two performances together afterward, blending two voices that had never once been in the same room into a song that sounds like an intimate conversation between two people falling apart. It worked so well nobody could tell. On My Own shot to number 1 on the Hot 100 for 3 straight weeks and became the biggest selling single of both of their careers. The music video, shot in split screen, showed them on opposite coasts, which wasn't just a creative choice, it was literally how the song was made. LaBelle and McDonald didn't actually perform it together in the same room until months later on The Tonight Show, the very first time they ever sang it face to face. Michael McDonald later admitted he was almost relieved they recorded separately because he didn't think he could keep up with Patti LaBelle's live improvisation in real time. A song about two people who can't quite reach each other was in its own strange way exactly that. Two legends who couldn't reach each other either until it was already a hit. We're halfway through the list, and if a name or a story just hit you somewhere you didn't expect, that's exactly what these records were built to do. If you're new here, welcome to R&B Pulse Track, where every song gets its real story told, not just its lyrics. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and come back every week for more of the truth behind the songs that raised us. Now let's get back into it. because the next 5 stories carry even more weight than the ones before them. Number 5, Anita Baker, Sweet Love, released in 1986.
My heart, I love you, baby.
This song almost never came out at all. Before Anita Baker could record it, she was locked in a bitter legal battle with her old label, Beverly Glenn Music, who sued her in her new label, Elektra, trying to block the release of her second album entirely. For months, Baker's future in music sat in a courtroom instead of a studio. She won. The case was decided in her favor on March 19, 1986. Her album, Rapture, was released the very next day. Sweet Love, the song she co-wrote herself with Louis Johnson and Gary Bias, became her first major hit, climbing to number 2 on the R&B chart, and it went on to win her a Grammy Award for Best R&B Song. So every time you hear the opening notes of Sweet Love, you're hearing a song that was nearly strangled in a legal filing before it ever reached a single radio station. Anita Baker didn't just write one of the defining Quiet Storm ballads of the decade. She had to fight a lawsuit just to earn the right to release it. Number 4, Stevie Wonder, Ribbon in the Sky, released in 1982.
Give me this special day. Well,
Stevie Wonder wrote, arranged, and produced the song entirely on his own. And by the time it finally reached the world in 1982 on his Greatest Hits album, it had already been sitting inside him for years, a private meditation on faith and devotion he wasn't ready to release. When it finally came out, it charted at number 10 on the R&B chart and earned him a Grammy nomination. But chart numbers were never really the point of this one.
tonight I prayed that a star.
Ribbon in the Sky became one of the most requested wedding songs in American history, a promise set to music, the sound of a man telling someone that meeting them wasn't chance, it was fate. Generations of couples have walked down aisles to this song without knowing it sat unreleased for years before Stevie finally trusted the world with it.
Love we can lose.
And in one of the most quietly devastating moments in music history, Stevie Wonder stood up in February of 2012 and sang a rewritten version of Ribbon in the Sky at the funeral of Whitney Houston, turning his own wedding song into a farewell. The song built for beginnings became, for one unbearable afternoon, a song for goodbye. Number 3, Teddy Pendergrass, Love TKO, released in 1980.
Takes a fool to lose twice and start all over.
By 1980, Teddy Pendergrass was arguably the biggest sex symbol in black music, filling arenas with ladies-only concerts and stacking up platinum albums back-to-back. Love TKO, a song about getting knocked out by love the same way a fighter gets knocked out in the ring, reached number 2 on the R&B chart and became one of the defining records of his career.
I told myself time and time and time.
Then on March 18, 1982, Pendergrass lost control of his Rolls-Royce on a Philadelphia street and crashed into a tree. He was trapped in the wreckage for 45 minutes. The crash severed his spinal cord and left him paralyzed from the chest down for the rest of his life, at just 31 years old, at the absolute peak of his fame. He fell into a devastating depression afterward and later admitted he thought about ending his life. But he didn't stop. Within a few years, he was back in the studio, and in 1985, he wheeled himself onto the stage at Live Aid in front of over 100,000 people, his first live performance since the accident, and brought the crowd to tears.
Another sad song, so I think I better let it.
Teddy Pendergrass spent the rest of his life proving that Love TKO wasn't just a lyric about getting knocked down. It was his entire life story, written 3 years before it happened to him. Number 2, Luther Vandross, A House Is Not a Home, released in 1981.
And a house is not a home when.
This song wasn't originally his. Dionne Warwick recorded it first back in 1964, written by the legendary team of Burt Bacharach and Hal David. It was only a modest hit for her at the time.
we are far apart.
Almost 2 decades later, a session singer named Luther Vandross, who idolized Warwick so much he had patterned his entire vocal style after hers, decided to close out his debut solo album with a tribute to the song that shaped him.
There's no one there to hold.
He didn't just cover it, he stretched it from a tight radio single into a 7-minute emotional journey, slower, rawer, more exposed than the original had ever dared to be. It became one of the defining vocal performances of the entire decade.
I call your name.
Then in 1986, Luther stood on stage at the NAACP Image Awards and sang it directly at Dionne Warwick, who was sitting in the audience as the guest of honor. He had lived, he stretched notes for what felt like forever. And by the end of it, the cameras caught Dionne Warwick wiping away tears in front of the entire room. She later wrote that his version left her, in her own words, at a loss for words. A song about the emptiness of an empty house became, that night, the moment a student made his teacher cry with gratitude. Number 1, Whitney Houston, Saving All My Love for You, released in 1985.
Though I try to resist being.
Before Whitney Houston ever touched this song, it belonged to somebody else entirely. Marilyn McCoo and her husband Billy Davis Jr. recorded it back in 1978, and it barely made a ripple. The song sat forgotten for years until producer Michael Masser walked into a small New York City club called Sweetwater's and saw a teenage girl on stage, performing one of his other songs like she lived every word of it. That girl was Whitney Houston. Masser was so struck by her that he offered her this half-forgotten ballad about loving a man who already belongs to someone else. And he told her flatly, "This is going to make women cry." He was right. Released in August of 1985, Saving All My Love for You became Whitney Houston's first ever #1 hit, the opening shot of a run that would eventually make her the most decorated female artist in music history. It won her her first Grammy Award. The music video, controversial for its storyline about an affair, cast a man who bore an eerie resemblance to Jermaine Jackson, and tabloids at the time speculated the casting wasn't a coincidence at all.
Just wait a little longer.
Whatever the truth behind that, one thing isn't up for debate. This was the song that introduced the world to Whitney Houston, a nearly forgotten ballad about loving someone in secret that turned an unknown teenager into the biggest voice of her generation. 10 songs, 10 real stories, and every single one of them proves the same thing. The most beautiful ballads in music history were rarely born from easy places. If one of these stories stayed with you, tell us which one in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to R&B Pulse Track because we've got a lot more of these truths waiting to be told.